Hello everybody. Today I've got myself some better video editing software, so I'm going to try out a few new features, mainly voiceover and fast forwarding through some slower spots. This video is going to be a couple trips I took Saturday morning. They're just short little drives. Ran into a couple minor issues, but once this drive gets going, I'm not going to use it, the full self-driving in the parking lot, but once I get on the road here, I'll turn it on. And I don't think there's any issues until right before we turn left. So once I turn it on, I'll speed it up here for a bit, and then we'll get on with the trip. You'll notice there at the top of the screen that the little icon turned blue. That's when we have full self-driving enabled. And this is just I think there's about 2 miles here, pretty much just straight driving. Um, it's going to change lanes eventually because we are going to be turning right or left, I mean. And so we'll get into the left lane in preparation for that. So here we are, we're going to be getting into the left turn lane, and the problem we have here is that it doesn't seem to know what to do with a blinking yellow light. I think there's initially one car maybe, but once the traffic clears, it just doesn't turn. And I think I ended up hitting the accelerator to go through here. So let's see what it does.
Does the screen auto go off?
If you look real closely, you should be able to see the lights change. Oh, and you can actually see the yellow light blinking there
Okay.
on the display. Yeah, and I just marked that issue by pressing on the camera icon there.
It doesn't understand the blinking yellow?
Yeah, and I accelerated to make it turn. And then this next stretch is pretty similar to the previous one. Goes straight for quite a while, and then right before we make that right turn, it switches lanes to get ready for that turn. So I'm going to go ahead and fast forward through this too. All right, so here we are, cars switching lanes. I don't remember, looks like the lights are red. You can see that on the screen. Once the traffic clears though, the car just goes, as it should. It's not the same issue it has with well, I mean, it is a little bit slow, but it's got to peek up and take a look. This is a rather interesting intersection here. They added this weird loop in It's like a crossover. I don't know. Apparently, they have it in some other states, and they decided to add it here because this overpass was complicated before. Now it's complicated in design, but I guess it's better for drivers once they understand what's going on. Now, when I took this Wednesday morning, it actually, well, I hit it with the green light and it tried to switch lanes before crossing this intersection here. It didn't do that, but I also had a red light, so I don't know if that has something to do with the timing. As far as I know, the system doesn't learn anything from the drives I take. It only learns with each update because Tesla updates the AI between updates. That's what the, each update is a new version of the AI learning that's happened in the past 2 weeks. So I think I had a green light there, so it just went through. Um, Roads are pretty clear at this point in the day. We get some snow later on, but uh, this intersection's a little funny up ahead because it actually splits into two to the left there, but it knows what it's doing here, so it handles that just fine. And then we pull into the driveway. So that's that trip. All right, here's another short trip. We're just going to the grocery store for a little shopping. Um, I believe this trip goes pretty good right up until the end. So I may end up fast forwarding through most of this. It's a pretty standard drive, nothing special really. You see there's some snow on the ground now, but there's not much. You can see on the screen that it can still see where the edges of the road are because the grass is still green. Basically, I can tell that that's the side of the road. Um, as I mentioned earlier, this is a little weird intersection, but it seems to handle it fine. We're coming up to a light. I think it goes green right after we get there, so it doesn't have to make any decisions about that. I'll speed it up once we turn the corner because I don't remember anything happening. We do. There is one point where it kind of runs a red light. Um, and that was because it slows down for some reason. Yeah. Right before the intersection, it slows down. I'll uh, I'll speed the video or slow the video back down right before we get to that. So here's the intersection where we sort of run a red light. The car slowed down coming into that intersection, and I don't know why it did that. I don't know if it was being cautious because of it wasn't a straight on normal intersection. So that might have been the problem. But yeah, it was yellow. It turned red while we were under the light. So, from my understanding of the law, that's actually legal because we were already under the light. So, yeah, we'll go with that. So the rest of the trip went pretty good, but here we're turning, and this there's a little island there, and it basically tried to go into the exit side of the island. It's an odd shape there, so I can understand why it might have problems. I mean, going in that way from turning left, you do have to go around it to get in the inside. So I don't know. Since I had to take over there, uh, that will be noticed as a takeover, and anytime you have to take over on the trip, it's noticed, and they take a look at that. All right, so this is just heading back to my mother-in-law's house. Um, I believe this trip went pretty straightforward right up until the end. Once I get back on the main road, I'll turn on FSD again, and I'll probably just speed through the rest of this trip right up until the end. It's basically just going back over the same route we took before. So there, I turned it on, and I guess we'll see you at the end. All right, so turning onto this street again. This is the third time we've been on this this street for this trip or this video. Um, Still pretty much the same level of snow, but we're coming up on this weird intersection, and this is the only issue it had on the way back. So this is a left turn. There's two different ways to go, and it kind of freaked out there making that turn. So I took over at that point. But yeah, I it's not a straightforward intersection, but that's why we have our hands on the wheels. So
Apparently Max is leaving soon.
back home,
And
and
you could have got
that's it for
kid
this
caught on
video.
snow
I'm
there.
working on another
Yeah.
one that
Well, and
is the
that
trip
intersection
home
is
at
kind of
night.
wonky.
I'll get that out later.